Shall we ask Lindsay to share this? Okay, hold on.
Hello,
Yeah,
we're
we're
live.
live.
Hey everyone, welcome to another thoughtbot live stream. I'll introduce myself again since I don't know if you watched the previous session, but I'm Clarissa. I'm a senior developer here at thoughtbot, and at thoughtbot I work with platform engineering and Rails development. And here we build and support multiple infrastructures of all sizes, and to make that work smooth, we maintain a number of open source Terraform modules to help our clients and deploy and manage infrastructure efficiently. Yeah, that's my introduction. Do you want to introduce yourself, Fernando?
Yeah, sure. My name is Fernando Perales, development team lead at thoughtbot. And it's my second time in this series, so thanks for having me. Just to summarize what we were doing last time. I mean, I don't know what we're doing right now, but I'm a Rails developer and I've been for almost 12 years. So I'm trying to learn about Terraform. That's why we're doing the series. It's mostly for developers or any other tech people who want to learn about how the platform part works. So
Right, lovely. So yeah, today, on the last session, we did a small contributions to our open source, one of our open source modules, actually two. They are like in theory, we raised a pull request, and we also I merged that offline because the build didn't pass when we were live, but that's what happens when you're live, right? So yeah, today we're going to work on optimizing AWS costs on our own infrastructure. This is something that I'm actively working into internally. So I thought that particular task would be great to bring a live audience along for the process, and also to pair with Fernando. So we'll have some hands-on Terraform and Kubernetes work today, which is very exciting. And thank you, Fernando, for joining me today, because we initially planned this live stream so that I would be solo on that live stream, but I would feel completely awkward speaking alone.
yeah.
And also, like, I'm very prone to making silly mistakes when I'm doing those things, like when I'm nervous. So it's very good to have a second eye there. So thank you for joining me.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to drop them on the chat. We're watching the comments on every platform. And also, if you just want to say hi on the chat, it will be super nice to have you. Thanks everyone for joining us. So yeah, let's dive in. Let me start sharing my screen to show people what we are going to work on today. And also let me turn off that music.
Yep.
Did I turn off or on? Oh, it's off. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's off now. It's good.
Right. Yes. So let's see what we are going to work on today. Mm-hmm. So as I was saying, we wanted to optimize our AWS costs a little bit. We have an internal infrastructure at thoughtbot that has a Kubernetes cluster that runs our internal applications. And so we are exploring optimizing the cost of our infrastructure by using cheaper instances for background jobs. So that's what we are going to work on today. I didn't I didn't have a good way to share our cost breakdown at the moment, but I took a screenshot of what our cost for EC2 instances look like now. We are spending like $20 per day in production, just on EC2 instance. That doesn't account for databases or anything else, just $20. And then I would like to see if we can share how much our cost improved after that optimization. But that's not going to happen today because we have to wait a few days for the infrastructure to run, and so we'll probably share that on blog post or social media share. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Fernando?
Yes, I do.
Right.
First of all, how do we know that? For example, for me, I mean, $20 per day. I don't know if that's cheap or expensive. So that would be my first question. How for our application, how do we know that? Hey, maybe we're spending a lot of money and maybe we can save? Because you can always decrease to the cheapest instance, but if the app is unusable, probably that's not worth it. But
right.
First of all, how do we know? What could be like some clues that maybe we can save some money?
Mm-hmm. We don't have a fancy monitoring system for that infrastructure, so we don't have like very good details on how we're spending every penny on that on those instances. I looked into if we could lower the tier of our infrastructure to something more to like a medium instance. Where production runs on large instances at the moment. So I looked into that to see if we could lower that, but we can't really because so here's how I checked that. I went to node groups on AWS to see how much our nodes are using of CPU, memory, and all resources. And also the number of pods that we could assign on those nodes. And we are just like, if we lowered to medium, we would be just like in the limit for our infrastructure. So it's not nice to have that like in the limit. You normally would want to run an infrastructure that, like, especially for production, you want to have like a little bit of buffer in case you need to scale. So like things don't fail if you have something, if something unusual happens. So that's how I identify that. But there, like, people, when I first started looking into how to optimize AWS costs, I actually didn't know how to do that really well, because like we had a goal like, oh, I want to reduce costs on AWS. How do I do that? Where's the best place to look at first? And there isn't like a magic recipe for that. You just need to like look into your AWS bill and see what services are. I would start with the most expensive services and see if we are not over provisioning for some reason. And then you can. There is some. I feel like there is some subjectivity to it, because it's not. Like, if it was easy, if it was like, oh, I just need that size of an infrastructure, then AWS would do that for you. You wouldn't need to be the one evaluating that and making that decision. So it's difficult, but it's and one thing that helps a lot with us is that because we manage multiple infrastructures, like we have clients that have like a giant infrastructure that we manage, and we have smaller clients, and we have clients that have infrastructures that are simpler than ours. So we have a really good comparison, like way to compare like infrastructures, and we have a lot of experience with different infrastructures, so we know, oh, this type of project normally costs that much, so why is that costing double of that? And then we can just try to analyze that.
That makes sense. Yeah, because if you don't have a point of reference, as I mentioned, $20, it's. I mean, I think I was paying like 12 USD for just like a DigitalOcean bucket like a long time ago, and that one had like 512 megabytes, and that was barely enough for an app. But yeah, I don't know like how much, if that's
Right.
how much. But yeah, that's definitely a good, if you have more apps to compare. Definitely, I think that's easier.
Yeah, exactly. So for that specific task, we are looking into converting our nodes existing instances, some of them into Spot instances. Have you heard about Spot instances before?
Not really. I can kind of give me an idea based on the name, but no, I have no idea what it is specifically. So we can probably
Right.
read about those.
Yeah. So Spot instances are instances that use spare capacity that EC2 have available on AWS, but it costs way less for on-demand price. It costs less than on-demand price. Sorry. So the current instances that we have are the on-demand instances, and on thoughtbot we have a bunch of background jobs that run as cron jobs on our infrastructure. So whenever a new job spins up on the cluster, it will create a new pod for that, and it can take up more resources on our instances, and yeah, so it costs. So it could be that if we add Spot instances, because it's not our main workload, like background jobs are not our main workload, then maybe the cost will decrease very little, and like it will not be worth it to do that, or maybe it will be. So I want to experiment with that to see if that works well for us.
Okay, yeah, that really sounds like lambdas. That hey, you don't have to reserve computation. You can do that on demand. It's probably taking some time, but then when you're done, then you clean up and you're just charged for that. Is it similar? I mean, just for
yeah, it's similar, but it doesn't have to be necessarily like lambdas that are they have like their specific runtime, and then when they're not running, then you're not paying for anything. Spot instances can be used for applications that run 24/7. So for example, we use Spot instances in our sandbox environment at the moment. So all of our instances are running on sandbox environments, on our sandbox environment, which is pretty cool because it saves money, and we don't really need, like, we don't use staging environment for showing clients things. We use internally for development, so it's fine to have that. I forgot to mention that, but Spot instances, like because they use spare capacity on EC2, it's possible that your workload might be interrupted because for some reason another resource needs to reclaim that capacity. So that's the downside of the Spot instance.
Okay. Yeah, you can save money, but it's not like exclusive resource. So
Right. So that's why it's a good fit for fault-tolerant background jobs, because like if you have jobs that, for example, we have a job that syncs, I don't know, let's say we have a job that syncs invoices with an external app. If it syncs every 15 minutes, it can happen that once it fails and we won't have the most updated data at the moment because the instance was interrupted. But if it runs again after 15 minutes, then we won't like have any issues with that. And then the other downside with that's like related is that if you want to start a spot instance at some point and for some reason AWS doesn't have any EC2 spare EC2 capacity, it will not start until it has.
Okay, makes sense.
Right. But then there is I had a link here. Let me find that link. That link is the instance advisor. Oops, why did it copy like that?
Maybe, there's like a parenthesis or like
yeah,
like markdown or
yeah.
Oof.
I'm using like a notes app here, so I think
Mm.
that's why. So it has this instance advisor, which like you can see the frequency of interruption of each type of instance. So if we're looking at the T3 large, which is the one that we use, it has 5 to 10%, but it saves 64% of the
of the
cost. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. I see why it's appealing to use that. Of course, let's consider
Right.
trade-offs. So, okay, good.
Right. And then in addition to that, I was thinking if we could also try to downgrade the tier of the background jobs instances. So let me show you how that looks on AWS.
Yeah, because right now, are we using EC2, I guess T3 large for that?
Yes.
And then
T3 large, yes.
Okay, so the idea is to move those to spot instances with the same size, but maybe there might be a chance that we can decrease the tier.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So this is what production looks like at the moment. So it has a T3 large instance type.
Okay.
This is how much the node group can increase. The node groups can scale. So the minimum would be we have 2 nodes, and the max size of the nodes is 16.
Okay.
I looked at our AWS metrics recently, and I noticed that we are mostly running 9 nodes sometimes, and sometimes we increase to 12, but we're mostly sitting on 9 nodes.
Okay.
And then in case you're not familiar with that, each node on Kubernetes represents a physical computer like that. And so each node is an instance, an EC2 instance on AWS.
Okay, got it. And we can have several pods on one instance.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
So another thing that could happen in that scenario is that we add, because when we add a new, let me go back to the code. When we add a new node group, so this is the default node group. That's where everything is running. But then let's say we're going to add a spot node group here. I don't know why. Excuse me, Copilot. All right, so let's say we're adding a spot instance here, and it's going to be like less than what's the default node group. But then because we can't set the minimum size to 0, I think we can't, but we can test that, but I think we can't. It will have, we will have instances running all the time available. So it can actually have a side effect, which is to add more cost because we aren't using that as much.
Okay. Yeah, we have the
Uh,
resource and we're paying for that, but we're not using it.
exactly. So
Okay.
so that's an interesting thing to test and experiment with. Um so yeah, that's production,
Okay.
and that's sandbox. Sandbox
Oh.
already runs. If you look here, we have a variable here that
Mhm.
defines that the capacity type is spot.
Okay. We
Um,
have for that one. What it means that we have in instance types T2 medium and T3 medium.
right. So that means that uh, AWS can deploy T2 medium, and T3 medium instances. AWS manages the load, like it manages how many nodes you need to add based on what it thinks we need. I don't
Okay.
know how it manages, like how it chooses to add more of these or that.
Mhm.
I actually don't know how that works behind the scenes, but that
Okay.
also is something interesting to explore. Like if we trust that it does that well, we could think about adding a
Mm.
T2 T3 medium instance type here. And so if we don't need a T3 large at the moment, then it's just
Creating
um,
T2.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
I don't
that's really
know.
cool. Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, it would be interesting, but I don't know if how effective it is and um, how it manages that.
Mhm. Okay.
Um,
Yep. That's definitely interesting. If it works as we expect, definitely it's really cool because
right.
probably we think that it's smarter than really it is, but I don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
So for this issue that we're going to work on today, we already have that change on Sandbox, but we don't have
Exactly.
that change on production.
Kind of.
Or
So
yeah, tell me about it.
yeah, we don't want to run everything on spot instances because we
Hmm.
need availability. We don't want to like to that people go to the thoughtbot blog and oh, it's not available because
Mm.
AWS doesn't have a machine for us. So let's hold off for now
Hmm.
and not have our website available. So we don't want to do that. We want to have to make sure only the
The jobs.
background jobs are deployed to that.
Okay.
And so I'm also figuring things out live, so it's more exciting. And
Perfect.
so I don't I haven't tested anything yet, so we're going to do that live as well.
Hey,
So I'm just trying to
people,
set expectations here.
people love that, especially when it fails, because they know what not to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They can make a clip of you failing and crying.
Okay.
So one thing that Kubernetes has is the ability to add labels to resources.
Mm.
So you can run get nodes, and you're able to see the labels of
Hmm.
each node. And then using that label, you can use selectors that will
Mm.
tell that um, workload to be deployed directly to a specific node. So, for
Okay.
example, so we could think about doing that on the other way around, or I don't know. Forget about what I was just saying. Let's
Okay.
for example, let's say we have if we go to, let's run a Kubernetes command here.
Mhm.
Um, let's do a get pods here.
Okay.
Oops. Get pods. Have you used flight control before?
Um, Probably once, just to do like a backup from staging, but besides that, I know that it's kind of our tool to manage Kubernetes clusters, but no, I'm not really an expert. I just know that it
Right.
exists. And it's open
Okay,
source.
it's okay. Yeah, it's our open source tool that we use to manage multiple multiple environments on Kubernetes. Because if you used kubectl before, have you used kubectl before? Just
Yep.
kubectl. You know that you have to write a gigantic command
I
to,
kind of remember
yeah,
that you have to set the
yeah,
context and you.
context, profile,
Mhm.
environment, namespace, and then if you do that, if you use flight control, it just helps you with that interface, so it uses the correct context,
Oh, perfect.
which is really nice. Um, it's really nice, especially because it gets the context based on which project you are. So we have a flight control.yaml config file which configures that project. So if I go to thoughtbot.com later and use the same command, it will give me
The pods for that one.
right for that namespace.
Perfect.
So that's really nice. So let's do a get pods here on staging.
Mhm.
Right, it tells you like, oh, it's using AWS profile thoughtbot sandbox for EKS cluster thoughtbot sandbox v3. Oh, we have a worker running,
Ooh.
which is crashing.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's why
I
we're not
think,
getting emails. Oh no, that's staging. Never mind.
oh yeah, that's staging. We are not getting emails.
No,
Oh
never
no.
mind. I don't know. I haven't checked the staging, but
Right. Okay. So each one of these workers here, the mail worker, the match worker, and the worker,
Mhm.
are sidekick workers.
Mhm.
So if we had a specific worker that wasn't like a priority worker, we could, for example, move that worker into the spot node that we want to create.
Okay.
I don't know why I started to talk about that.
I
Fine.
don't. I don't know. Yeah, but okay. So we had these are the pods for staging or sandbox.
Right. Yeah, for hub staging.
So those. So can we go back to the code for the node groups? Just, I'm trying to map
This one?
the code for sandbox
Okay.
where you have the node groups. And
Mhm.
can we go for sandbox?
Sandbox.
Yeah. So is this deploy or not yet?
It
That's the
is.
first thing. It is.
That's
So
already on.
already on staging. Is that
Yes, we've
okay?
always ran staging on spot instances, which is
Mhm.
really good. Like if you look at the cost, we're basically running the same things both on production and staging, but the
Mhm.
difference is that we have less workload, obviously, because
Mhm.
only our infrastructure, our staging environment is only used internally for development, so it doesn't handle the same workload. But also, uh, it runs the same number of pods,
Mhm.
but it has because it's a spot instance, it runs significantly less. It costs significantly less. Let me see if I
Okay.
can go to AWS here and show you how much we're spending on Sandbox.
Um,
I'm
yeah,
doing
because
that.
for production was around 20 USD per day. Was that correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the meantime,
Um,
so we don't really want to do exactly this on production because we only want to use spot instances for Sidekick in this case, and not for the rest of the application. That's the
yeah.
difference. That's why we cannot copy and paste this and just be happy and go
Yeah.
home,
Yeah. I
home
wish we
early.
could like I wish we could. It would be like such a pleasure to see the bill lower
Yeah,
that much. Hold
yeah,
on, I
very
will
cheap.
stop sharing
Yep.
for a moment just because I want to
Okay,
go to AWS.
okay, that's cool.
Let me put us here.
Okay,
Um,
I'll tell more things about the app in the meantime. Something
yes.
to something else to consider. It's this is not a user. Well, it's user facing app, but it's an internal app. So we have more data about. We know that probably people is not accessing the app a lot during the weekend because it's the thing that we mostly use that during working hours for checking things. Um, so that's all something interesting because we don't really have to. We know for sure that we won't have more users than employees. In theory, I don't see how we can get more users than the amount of people in the company. Um, so that also probably let us play around or be more risky with the limits. Like, hey, maybe this is very tight, but this is the hard code or the max limit that we have for concurrent users, which should be around 100 users, probably, maybe a little bit less. I don't know how many people it's in the company, um, but yeah, we
Right.
have to consider that we do have spikes, but it's not really like a high traffic app. Or let's say I remember watching a talk related to cookpath. It's you can find recipes, and they claim to be the largest Rails monolith in the world. It's an interesting talk, especially if you wanted to learn about infra. But they say that they have a spikes like 2 or 3 hours near the meal time because people is going to prepare the meal, so that's when they look for recipes, and they already know that, so they are ready because like, oh yeah, we have to be ready for those spikes on traffic. So I think that's very clever when you know, if you know even in advance when your app is going to be busy, you can pre- prepare for that. And one of our clients, it's has similar case that they are software for accounting, so we know that tax season is like, yeah, that's when we have more users. The rest of the year it's like very calm, so that also help us to be more aware, like, okay, yeah, we need to be ready because we're gonna get probably 10 or 20 times more users than usual.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something really cool about Kubernetes actually because it auto scales based
Mhm.
on your need. Like if you configure it well, it will like know that it doesn't need that much of traffic, and it will auto scale based on the traffic that you're getting or
Mhm.
the workload that you need. So that's really cool. Um, I that's also something like spoiler. That's also something that I was interested in looking into is setting up ephemeral instances for Sandbox because I don't know. I think it would be cool if we could, for the exact same reason that you were talking about. We have a staging app that we don't really use a lot, but we need it sometimes when we merge pull requests before we promote things to
Mhm.
production. And it's an app that is not on heavy development. So, like, it doesn't make sense to have the staging app running all the time
Mhm.
if we can just have it running once we merge a pull request and then, okay, you're done with what you were doing. So let's disable for now. And yeah, similar to
Yeah.
review apps, Heroku's review apps.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. And also when we had the free tier, that your app was like, you can use the app, and then if you stop using the app for I don't know how long,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
the I don't think it disappeared like completely because it took like 20-30 seconds to be available again. But definitely I'm wondering that probably they were doing something similar to save resources. It's like, hey, you are not paying, at least let's make you cost not as much as if we reserve all the computational power and resources just for your app that you only visit once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if I
Okay.
recall
So
correctly, Heroku runs on AWS, right? I kind of
yeah.
remember. So
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see if we can get someone from Heroku to talk about
Yeah,
their
I don't
infra.
know if you remember a while ago that AWS was having problems. I don't know what was the region that was having problems, but
Mhm.
I remember that at that time I worked on a company that had their infrastructure on Heroku, and we were struggling because
Oh.
AWS was having outages, and we were having outages because Heroku is on AWS as well.
Yes, like, but why, if we're not using AWS, we're using Heroku? Well, you are using AWS indirectly, but
Yeah.
there's something in that. So yeah, cool. Good
Right.
story.
Yeah. Okay, so let me show you the cost, the
Oh
EC2 cost
wow.
for. Yeah, so it's significantly less, and I can like, it's also because we don't have traffic, a lot of traffic going on. So
Mhm.
traffic also like makes us like need more instances sometimes, and it scales up sometimes because of that.
Mhm.
So we are basically running at minimum capacity all the time. But even so, it's significantly less if you compare.
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty much almost 10 times cheaper.
Yeah, but we have to account that we don't have
Yeah,
the same
it's not.
traffic.
Yeah, it's not production comparing to production,
Right. Yeah.
but still
But it
that
still
is a
is.
process. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's aggressive,
yeah,
violent.
yeah, because you
Right.
can scale up if needed. So okay, now that we have
Exactly.
I think we have the complete idea that we're gonna work,
Yeah.
why we're gonna do this change. Again, it's kind of as you mentioned, it's kind of a hypothesis that we want to try. Like maybe we expect the experiment to result in cheaper or like smaller costs for production, but it might be the case that it's not. So that's the pro of infrastructure as code. We just roll back and then we just release. So okay.
Hmm. Yes. So okay. So the first thing I wanted to try was to manually do that on Kubernetes before we try to do anything on AWS. I want to confirm we are understanding
Mhm.
what's going on here. So I want to
Okay.
follow that. That's at least the adding a label to a node
Mhm. So
thing.
what we're gonna do? I mean, I have a guess, but I want to hear that from you before I say.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't explain what we need
Yeah.
to do for that. So we have so Kubernetes has this concept of being able to add labels to resources. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a label to our nodes that we are creating, the spot nodes,
Hmm.
and then we are going to add something that's called a node selector
Hmm.
on the pods. And so whenever Kubernetes is going to assign a new pod of that deployment type, it will look at the node selector and it will match with the node that we deployed.
Okay.
So we're going to basically add a filter,
Hmm.
so it will add the pods just to the node that we are deploying now.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, because for staging we have everything the same. We have everything it's spot.
Right.
But for now, for production, we want some spot and some regular.
Mhm. So
Okay.
if you look here, it has this is an
Labels.
example of a Kubernetes manifest for a
Hmm.
pod, and it has this node selector,
Hmm.
disk type SSD. Um,
Okay.
so I think we could do something similar to that
Okay.
and see if the pod is correctly assigned to the node that we are
Okay.
looking at. So let's take a look at our nodes and see what labels we have here. Let me open the terminal. Let's use flight control for that. It says get nodes, and then you have to include that flag to show the labels.
Hmm.
Oh, that's very good to see. That's really good. Thank you.
What is that?
So it is
Okay.
supposed to look like a list similar to this, but because it has too many labels, like it has these labels.
Oh, it's a long list of
labels. Yeah, exactly. But the labels are here. So we could add a new label to, since we are doing that on staging, it's okay to do things on staging. We're just sandbox experimenting. We can add a label to let's see. We can add a label to this node.
Okay.
This is a node name. It's ugly, but it's a node name. Oh, for example, it should be like this. So you can add a label by doing the label command. So let's do that. Label nodes node name. What's the name of the label that we want to use? Capacity.
Yep. Why capacity? I mean, I know it's pretty much anything. Yeah. Okay, I get it.
It should be. It's a key value. So since the name of the label of the variable that we use on Terraform is capacity type, I want to be.
We can use that exactly.
Yeah.
We can use capacity.
Then I'll put spot.
Okay. So let's see. So if this works, then we're gonna do that on Terraform.
Right. Yes. Okay. Yes. That's something that I like to do sometimes, like when I'm testing, like when I'm not sure if how things are going to work, I just do them manually before I change anything, because the workflow for adding things on Terraform can be like the feedback loop is not great sometimes when you're trying to do things. So when we decide that things are permanent, we can move to Terraform and work on that on Terraform.
Okay. Yeah, we also do features and then the test. So
right. Yeah. Okay, so we did that. And then if we do, is there a way that I can filter nodes by labels?
There should be.
Kubernetes.
Yeah, I kind of remember that
by label.
Yeah, because we're gonna use that, right?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay.
I should be probably kubectl.
Yep. That one. Oh, LinkedIn. Well, I think it's -- selector. I kind of saw something on one result, but
yeah.
Yeah, I saw somewhere that, but it's probably a question.
Correct.
I don't know if that's the answer.
I think so. Let me see.
Let's try.
I don't know. I think that label. Never mind. I thought I already did that before, but I didn't.
Okay.
Oh, I think I actually -l. Okay. So I did that for searching for pods. Let me see if I can do that for nodes as well. So it should be capacity
equals spot.
And then we want to do that for nodes. And this should be staging.
Yeah, that should work. I mean, I would expect that to work, to have a consistent API.
Right. There you go. Awesome.
Kudos, Kubernetes team.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it worked. So let's go to creating a pod that gets scheduled to the chosen node. So we could create a new pod, an example pod, and apply that configuration and see if that pod works. But I'm thinking.
You can ask me. Not that I have the answer, but
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
when you ask out loud, that I can be your Robert. Your
Right. My rubber duck. Yeah, I'm thinking if we can. Never mind. I was thinking if I could add the node selector to an existing pod, like with kubectl, you can like edit existing things and live, and it will apply the changes. But since the pod is already running, I wonder if it will go to the other node if I tell it to.
Okay.
We could try that. Let's see if we can do that.
So
let's
we want to
search
edit the manifest for.
Yeah, you can do that directly on kubectl. It will prompt you with an editor for you to edit, and once you save it, Kubernetes will apply the changes that you made. So that's another good way to test things. I don't want to encourage you to test things.
I've done that.
But yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
So let's do a get pods. And if you run -o wide, you should be able to see which node each pod is running. So let me adjust the sizing here. That's annoying. Okay, I won't be able to.
To see everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 53. What I'm trying to see here is that if I can change an existing pod into that instance.
Okay.
So for example, so this pod already exists on that instance. So it probably won't make a difference if we edit that, but we could edit the hub console pod to see if that works.
Okay, yeah, let's try.
So let's try to edit pod hub console. Okay.
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 So we want to add the label.
Yeah, so it should be here. So in the same level of node selector of containers, we should add node selector, the name of the label, and the value.
Okay, good.
So it should be. I'm very bad at Vim, so let's see if I can.
If you can exit.
I can.
No, okay. So it's just node selector, and then it should be capacity colon.
Spot. Right. And then so if we save.
We're getting feedback, right? In case that something is wrong.
Yeah, we get.
Okay.
Pods was not valid. Forbidden. I don't know if it's good to see because it's the color is bad. But it says forbidden bot updates may not change fields other than the container's image. So I can't edit that directly. So I would have to change that in the manifest itself and deploy it instead of directly on what's deployed. So
so we need to change the file.
But it's interesting, like I don't know if you can see here the diff.
No selector nil, no selector map, string capacity.
Yeah, so it's that's what we were trying to change, and it looks good. So I think we're halfway there.
Do we need to delete the right, because it was not set?
No, we don't. Yeah, we don't need to do it.
Okay. So since it was invalid, it's just like, hey, I'm not gonna do that. Just discard.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good.
Hi, Albert. I saw a message on the chat.
Oh, yep.
Right. So, okay. So we are going to try to change what that looks in staging, not production. So let me show you how we deploy manifests to our cluster. We use Helm to manage our Kubernetes manifests, which is like an additional layer on Kubernetes to manage Kubernetes manifests. So it's more repeatable, and it's easier to manage. I don't know if you ever saw a Kubernetes manifest, a complete Kubernetes manifest for one for a cluster, but it's like a very large thing.
Yep.
And so if we do that, we are able to just customize the values that we care about.
Okay.
Right. I'm thinking.
So what can we do?
Yeah. So this is I downloaded the Helm chart here on the same folder, so we can take a look at what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the pod template.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not very good with templates. I have worked with this, but since I don't work very frequently with this, I still have to wrap my head around what's going on. But it's basically filling in a Kubernetes manifest so it looks like the one that we were looking at here.
Okay, that pretty much reminds me of ERB, that you're just like using to generate the files, but it's not really. Instead of writing the plain manifest by yourself, you're using Helm.
Yes, it's a template.
The weird syntax. I mean, it's not really weird syntax. It's probably the names. I don't know what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So if we do, I think I generated it before. Oh, it didn't. Let me try to generate a new manifest here.
Mm-hmm.
So I have Helm installed here. Oh, it's just that.
Okay.
Charts.yaml. Okay. So this is the generated manifest.
Okay.
So this is the large, not very large for our small setup.
So we should have a section where we're generating the labels. And do we want to change that template to Helm to generate that, or?
Yeah, that's the end goal here. We want to change that template because it currently doesn't support that. So if you look here, like we want to add the node selector in the same level as the containers value. let me change my screen here.
Okay.
So it doesn't have that yet. So we have other things here, other configuration, but we don't have the specific option to do that.
Okay.
So ideally, what we would do is we would go into, like, if we had that support, we could go into the existing values and just say, oh, this we want to have like
I don't know, labels, or
let me see here. Should be
nodes.
Yeah, so we have the workers. So we could do something like, I don't know what the level is for each one, but we could like, if that's the configuration for the container, we could do node selector and just
capacity.
add that.
Okay.
Yeah. Spot, for example. But since we don't have that on our Helm template, that's one thing that we need to do for that to work, for that solution to work.
Okay.
But we are just testing things, so I just want to make sure we are able to do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I just had another idea.
Okay.
I think I have an apply. Oh my god. CTL apply. Okay, I have an apply on the history here. So we can do an apply on a YAML file.
Okay. So that's probably...
I'm just thinking for a bit.
Yeah, because this is the template. And then what is -f?
-f defines the file directory that you want to use.
Okay.
So you could do -f and specify a specific file.
Okay.
Let me look at something. Delete that file. It's what I'm thinking about is that we don't have a when we deploy the whatever we want to deploy on Kubernetes, we have to set up the namespace, and there are a bunch of labels, other labels that are used for other things that get deployed together, all together, and that we need to deploy. So here's what I'm going to do. I will stop sharing my screen for a moment, just because I want to look at the labels to see if it's okay.
Okay. To check which one we need.
Yeah. So let me do that for a moment.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the values files to see which values we need to specify on Helm. And I'm also looking into our GitHub workflow. Our GitHub workflow is the one that is responsible for running Helm and deploying that to our cluster. So let me look at our, we use shared GitHub actions, so that's why I'm trying to find that. Should be EKS Helm. Let me show you for a moment what I'm looking at. So we use reusable workflows for that. Because if we have multiple repositories, we don't have to maintain multiple GitHub workflows that are the same. We just use this one.
Cool.
So if you go here, we add the Helm repository. Our Helm repository for deploying Rails is public, so you could use that if you wanted to. It pulls the chart, and then it also will. So it uses the namespace and the app name as an input from the workflow.
Okay.
Let me go back to the code. So let me generate the chart again and start sharing my screen.
Okay.
I'm scrolling really quick here because I just
Yeah.
let me stop sharing again.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything sensitive. There shouldn't be because it's not private, but
yeah, they're
for me,
safe.
but it's yeah. Okay, so instance namespace. That's what I was looking for. So the namespace went to default when I generated, and I didn't want that. So I'll replace that with what's the namespace again? The Kubernetes namespace should be
I don't know where's that.
Should be hub staging.
Staging. Okay.
Yes, we use the same namespace for, like, we use a different namespace for each application. So each application runs on its own namespace.
Okay.
It's still incomplete. The Helm template is still looking incomplete. So I don't. So maybe I'm doing something. Something is missing on my Helm template command. So I'll also look into that on the GitHub actions itself.
Okay. To see if we got it right.
Yes. So if we go to hub, Oh, I think I know how to do that well.
Okay.
Which is not, it's not ideal for our workflow at the moment, but I just want to test. Let me test.
Mhm.
Yes. So what I'm going to do here is when we generate the template for deploying on GitHub Actions, we print that the manifests on the output of the, or at least, oh yeah, we print that on the output of the GitHub action.
Mhm.
And so we are able to see what the manifest should look like, and we can adjust that.
Okay.
I will copy it over so it has everything that it should have. I don't know why it's weird, because I think I'm probably doing that correctly. Oh, sorry, Chad. I stopped sharing for a moment because we were looking at private data. So I will continue sharing soon. Hold on, people. All right, so I copied over everything, and I will just add the node selector to the pod that we were looking at. So let's recap.
Okay.
Let me recap. Share my screen again. Then if we do get pods wide, we have those pods running. So I will I will find the console pod on the manifest, and I will add the node selector to that.
Okay.
So I'll stop sharing for a brief moment so I can add that to the manifest. And then I will apply that change. And after that, I'll share again so we can see what happens when we deploy that. So let's go with right. So I'm adding the node selector, capacity, spot. Awesome.
Okay.
I did that. People, trust me. I did that. Let me start sharing again.
Okay.
And then I'll do an apply. Let me find again the
command.
Apply. So here, instead of getting an output from that, we're going to do apply from. We can do a dry run just in case, just to see
the changes.
Yeah. It won't actually, we won't see, like, it's not like Terraform that you can see like a plan of what it's going to do, but the dry run is useful in case you have any invalid manifest file. It will tell you that it will fail to apply. Okay. So that's useful for that. Charts.yaml, that's the file that I edited. Oops. Oh, I know what's wrong. So because we are using, so if you look at how we're using get
the environment.
Here, yes, we have to specify the environment here, and also because we're doing flight control, so it takes arguments as well. So it doesn't know that. So it thinks that -f is going to flight control.
But no, but
it's for kubectl, so we have to put that -- here.
Okay.
I hope I explained that correctly.
Yeah. Well, I've seen that, and to forward that command into the other instead of using that.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So it didn't tell me anything. Like it didn't say it's not correct. So let's break staging for a moment. I didn't let anyone know that we could possibly break staging. I hope no one's using it.
Yeah. Hi, chat.
Okay, so hi, chat. All right, so it had an error.
Oh, it seems similar to the when we try to change that. No, okay.
So
it's invalid.
It failed. We have a migrate. We have a migrate job that runs like it runs every time we deploy. Every time we make a new deployment, it runs a migration on a separate deployment, and once it finishes, it will deploy the application itself. So it seems it failed because of that. I will just take away my terminal for a bit just to see if there's anything that I can show for some reason.
So, but what is it? I mean, that looked like a very long error, and
yeah, it's a long error because it's trying to show you like what's the metadata that it tried to apply. So that's why it's long. It's not the error that it's long. It's just the. So it says blank space is invalid. Blank, like quote unquote, is invalid patch. But it didn't fail. Oh, it failed on the change that we made. That's unfortunate.
Okay.
Let me go back to the code again. Oh, that's annoying. I didn't expect that.
So the node selector change, that's when it's not working as expected.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it right under the right?
Yeah, I think I put that in the wrong spec. So I think it should be here instead.
Yeah.
Oops. Let me share my screen again and let's run that again. So what happened? What we think happened was that I put that the label under the wrong level.
Let's see.
Let me check again offline.
In the meantime, I think last session someone asked if there are tools to check for this, like any like syntax. Well, in this case, I think the syntax seems correct, but the key could be in the wrong level. So, are there tools to check that?
What we could do is do a dry run. I do that locally actually. Normally when I'm doing a change on manifests, I do a dry run locally. We could add that to the workflows so it does a dry run before someone merges to production. We don't have any tests for that, but I mean it will just. It's really difficult for you to test.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Test behavior on Kubernetes that you expect, I think. So like normally what happens when you try to deploy something, and it fails, you just try and it fails, and oh, I did something wrong, I have to do that again. And it won't, like, because we use a rollout strategy, it won't affect what's live at the moment. So it won't like, oh, I'm taking down what's there and deploying something new. No, that doesn't happen. It will only kill the existing resources once the new ones are healthy.
Okay.
So it failed, but it didn't. The actual change that we made didn't fail. So I think we probably could see if. The one that failed was the migration one.
Okay.
So we could see where that pod is at the moment.
Okay, let's go. Because there were some pods that were already crashing, but I don't know if that's related. No, because it was the migrate, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which looks good.
So yeah, I don't think that will work at the moment because the migration is a requirement for that pod to run, and then the migration was the one that failed. It won't. That's what happens. That's what I said happens. Like, it will be pending because the migrate pod failed to start. And so it will be pending until we're able to fix the problem with the hub migrate thing.
Okay.
That's annoying. I don't want to try to fix that now. Yeah. So why don't we? I'm thinking. Why don't we just jump into the? Like, we were able to add the label to the node. So one thing that we also need to confirm is that if we add a label to a node group, it will propagate that change into the node and not only the node group. I think it will. But that's one thing that we need to confirm with Terraform. So why don't we just jump into that and try that instead of trying that test that is annoying and won't help us.
Let's do that one.
Lovely. Okay, so let's try that. So we have. Oops, I think I closed the.
The session. Yeah.
I'm here.
It's fine. I can check on your screen.
Okay. So let's go into Terraform again. So what I want to do first is I want to try to add a label to that node group. And it can be this node group. It doesn't have to be a separate node group for that, because it takes a while to deploy a node group, and I don't want to
change it.
Actually, I think if we change it, it will try to redeploy the node group. I don't know. So it will take a long time, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that, because it's more about like creating new resources and then discarding the old ones, rather than changing what we have. But I don't know how that works entirely. But I would expect that makes sense. Especially because if you need to roll back something, it's probably easier to make that.
Right.
So let's do it. We still have some time, so let's see how far we can go.
Yeah, let's see how much progress we can make with that, and then we can. I can follow up on a blog post or on another session.
Perfect.
Oh, lovely. So it already has labels. that's not fun because I just jumped right into the place that I wanted to look for that. But so as a recap, we are using flight deck for creating the cluster, and then inside flight deck, if we go, I have downloaded the AWS, the flight deck code here, and then I jumped into the cluster module, and I think I was looking at it right before the stream, so I just, yeah. So it's here. So we have the labels value here. We can look into the variables file to see how to use the labels.
We should have labels.
Right. So it's a map. So we can do, let's see if we can do labels.
Equals.
You're so smart. So smart.
Thank you. I'm doing anything. Oh, okay. Well, that's for me.
Capacity. Spot.
Okay.
Right. So let's do a Terraform plan and see what it's trying to do. It will try to do. So thoughtbot infra.
So the idea is that we're applying the label to the node group, but
we're applying the label to everything.
Oh, okay.
Because we're doing that on Sandbox, and we don't really care about creating a new node group at the moment, but we should create a separate node group for production that is for spot instances and background jobs, and then that will have the label.
Okay.
Okay, so let's I wrote a script to anonymize account IDs.
Okay.
I did that for the previous stream, but then I realized that there was an issue with the script, so I had to
working.
Right, so like it redacts.
Yeah, I remember
IDs. Yes.
Yeah, you were hiding the output. Oh, right. No changes. So why it says that we have no changes?
Good question.
Is that the right file that we're checking?
Yeah. Like if I try to change to 14.
Yeah, we should have a change. Let's see. Yeah. No, hold on. Yeah, that one. Max size 7 from 8 to 7.
Why is it not trying to add the label? So let's look into the module to see.
Yeah, maybe we are.
This out.
Exactly. We might not be using that correctly. So
I think we are. Like I can see that var.labels is used here. Maybe it's not. So it is a module. We are using a module that uses another module. So let's take a look at that. So
is it a case node group?
It's a node group. Labels.
Merge var labels, and then the role var labels label node role. I don't know. That looks correct.
Let me try to do something here. I will manually add that just so we can test the
plan.
Yeah. So labels will be equal to that. Instead of merging the variable, we're going to add that directly here.
Capacity equals.
So it will be
spot.
Spot.
Okay.
What have I done incorrectly?
The quotes. Do you need the quotes in the spot? Or
No, that's not it.
oh, the equal
Let me-
sign. Yeah. Hold
I
on.
don't
What is?
know. Hold on.
No, merge levels.
It's because it's not.
Yes.
Um, scaling config labels. Like if we, I think it shouldn't be a block. Yeah, it's not a block. Let me look into the provider documentation. Is it too small?
Yeah, that's way better. So labels. Optional key value map of current labels.
Well, I think it's probably that I'm not configuring that correctly. The map correctly. Why is that? I thought that should work.
Can we go back to the other file, the values file? Maybe that's where.
I think that works. That should
that-
work.
I don't know.
Capacity?
Yep. Spot.
Maybe you were right. Let me see.
Or the quotes.
You were right. Yeah. I didn't expect that.
Let's see.
Thank you. That was a nice sketch.
Yeah, anytime. Let's see if that works.
So we have to reference the local.
Oh, the source.
tag
Yeah,
for that. Yeah.
as we did last time. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it should be like that. Oh. Cluster. That should be it. So we have to run Terraform init again. RTF init. Perfect. RTF plan. Please.
Do something.
Yes.
I have another question in the meantime. I remember that last time I used Kubernetes. Oh yeah, that seems that it's added now. Perfect.
So there is something wrong with the
What?
way we're handling the variable. Okay, so what was your question?
Oh yeah, that it was kind of common to set up like a local cluster and then test everything there and then move to staging and then move to that. But I don't know. Is that a thing in 2025?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Yeah.
No.
That was painful, but it was cool because, like you could, like, if anything goes wrong, just like tear down everything.
Right.
But yeah, probably it's easier now to do that in the cloud.
I did have a client a while ago that they used a tool that's called Scaffold, which lets you spin up a local cluster and then you can use it for development, so you can see. So it was really nice because I didn't have to, like, they had, I don't know, 7 microservices and I wanted to change one thing in one and they weren't kind of independent, so I had to run the entire system. So it was nice to have that for local development, but I don't know if the goal was to actually test to test the cluster itself. I think the goal was
not.
just to, yeah, it's difficult to do that because there are certain things that are so Kubernetes is very large on the open source community, and in theory it's portable, very portable, that in no way that if we wanted to migrate away from AWS we could just get our manifests and put it somewhere else. But in reality there are lots of things that work dependent on each cloud that you're using. So like I can't imagine that trying to do that locally and get the same environment that you're doing on AWS is not very feasible.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's more, for example, spot instances. How do you
Right.
mimic that locally? Maybe you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so let's try to fix that.
Yeah, let's go to, I don't know, variables. Is that what we have? Because that work, but we don't want to
Yes.
keep that change. Probably.
No, it's
So let's revert to what we had. But yeah, can we go back to variables file?
yes.
Because maybe, I don't know if where we have the labels.
We have the labels and it's a map.
And
One thing
Mhm.
One thing I noticed is that we have a similar thing for the tags. We have a variable for adding tags, and then it also adds tags based on the availability zone. So I think we could see what happens if we try to add tags. I'm assuming tags are also a map. Let's look into the variables. Oh, tags. Yes, it is. So let's see. Is it different? Let me check the.
I don't see.
Yeah, it is different. Or is it not? Let's see.
Yeah.
So tags. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Let's try Terraform plan again. Terraform plan. Oh, we have to do init again because we changed something on the module that we're using. No, it didn't. It didn't come up.
Yeah. Is there any message? Anything?
No, because it's not an error. It's not an error. It's just not finding. Yeah. So let's try something else. Let's try to do a plan to create another node group.
Okay.
A separate node group, and then instead of spot, it will be another. Oops. Another spot. I can type. What did I do wrong here? Oh, it
should be inside the node groups.
Yeah. Right? Oops. Okay. So let's see if we try to create that other node group, because I'm suspecting that the issue is that they already exist. But it could be just a Terraform issue as well, like we might be. So this is the spot.
We don't have the another. Oh yeah, it's there.
Tags. Right. So that's the issue.
That we already have that.
I think the issue is that you can't change the labels on the
Mhm.
fly.
I think that makes sense because that matches the error when we try to edit directly. Was something related
No,
like,
hold
hey,
on.
you can't.
Did we remove the manual change that we made? Hold on. We didn't.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's try again. Oh, forgot to run to plan init.
And it.
Plan. Oops.
Mhm. Okay.
Right. So it's not doing what it says it does. It does.
Mhm.
Like the labels,
It
the
doesn't
label
have.
that we added is not here. So the issue. So my theory is not correct. That the
Hmm.
issue was that we were trying to edit.
So it's.
Um, so that's not working. Let's look into merging maps.
Merge. Can you make the font size larger? Please?
Yes.
Yep. Better.
Oops. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yep. That looks correct.
Yeah. Oh. Like if you look here.
Mm-hmm.
No, it should
Yeah.
work.
The expansion symbol, separate argument. No, but we don't need to do that. No, that looks correct to me. What we're doing seems correct.
Variable.
Oh, there's a blog post. Let's see that. The merge function, Terraform. Consider a map like this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're merging that. Concat function, merging concat.
I don't see why it would be incorrect. Okay, so this one is combining a list, merge. Oh, so that's very similar.
Yeah, exactly. Variable. Labels, forms. I don't know.
Right. It should work. It should work.
Labels, merge bar labels.
Ooh. Um.
We have
I'll try that.
Okay.
I don't know if that will do anything. I'm just trying things. But I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Labels. If anyone in the chat knows the answer, let us know so we are unblocked from that.
Yeah,
Don't be mean.
Labels.
So I just transferred what was here into a local on Terraform.
Labels.
So we can, yeah. So let's try init again. Yep, it didn't do anything. That's really annoying.
It is.
I think for now, what we can do for the sake of
put that directly.
The scope, yeah, let's put that directly so we can test that the node group is deployed using that correctly. So let's see. So we could do, let's see what happens if we do capacity. No, it's not, sorry. Capacity spot. And then I'll remove that because I don't want to change that. I just wanted
also
that.
Labels, right?
Oh?
We can also remove that, right?
Yeah, we can.
We're running that directly. Okay. Let's see.
So let's do Terraform init. Plan. So it's just adding the label. So let's try to apply that. Let's try to apply that to see if we can see the labels added to the nodes.
Okay.
I don't know if we will have time to see it go through because maybe it will take a while to do. But let's see what happens. If it takes too long, we can wrap up.
Okay.
I mean, since it was updating in place and not recreating like we were concerned about, like if it had to do a recreate, I wouldn't even run it because I know it takes a long time.
A lot of time.
Yeah, because it drains the existing nodes, so it removes the pods, each pod, and it deletes each node very slowly, and then it creates the new node group.
Yeah, but that sounds very inefficient for just attack, but I mean I would understand why it could do that.
Yeah, it's because there are certain changes that require a recreate on the node group. Like there are certain things that you can just change. So So yeah, you would need to. Oh, it did.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Thing, like at least there is one thing in the world that is working now.
Yay.
So let's go back to Hub and let's see if we can see the labels.
Mhm.
Get nodes with that label capacity spot. Was that the one that we added? That's the one that we added, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I ran get nodes with the label set capacity with the label filter, and it found all of the nodes that we have. So it successfully added
Applied.
the labels to the nodes that we had.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I think that would work well. So the next step for this would be to change the Helm chart to change our Helm chart to support adding
The labels?
adding
Or...
yeah, adding the node selector or but then we would need to do that only for the pods that we want to do that. But I think we are good for today. I think we did explore something, and we did look into what spot instances are, and we discussed a little bit of the benefits of that and the things that we our hypothesis for that. We looked into the current price of our production instance, and I mean, once we are able to complete that and see like if we're able to change some of our instances to spot instances, then the theory is that it will improve our costs, but we also saw that it could worsen our costs because we will have more instances running available for running workloads. So we'll see how that goes. And then we can follow up on a blog post later to share the results and see where we landed with that.
Yeah.
Is Fernando getting sleepy? I think so. I think yeah.
I'm not. I'm getting my head. My head hurts because I saw a lot of code that I have never seen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. So for next session, what are we gonna do? Well, I said we because I expect you to invite me again, but I don't know if that's gonna be the case.
Yeah. I don't know when we are going to do a next session. I have to look into the schedule. We could continue working on that if that's soon, or we could work on something else. We have another session planned for mid-March, which is to this would be a more advanced topic, which is to we are going to change how we authenticate to our clusters. So instead of using config maps, we're going to use something that's called EKS entries. So we're going to update flight deck to support that, which is going to be cool. And that's I don't know when that's going to happen. Probably March 14.
Okay,
and
so
then
in
Fernando
three
and
weeks.
Right, yeah. And then Fernando and I can continue working on that task, either offline or online, but we'll share the results regardless with you all so you can see what happened with our experiment.
Perfect. Yeah. I get a general idea of what are the next steps. So
yeah.
What about that?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Fernando, and thank you, audience, everyone, for hanging out today. And if you enjoyed this session and want to see some more, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on social media. So Sanders asked if we have a next session date. I think probably in 2 weeks. So it would be, let me take a look at the calendar.
In 2 weeks, it's going to be 7th, I think. No,
Yeah, so
9th.
March.
Yeah, 7th.
No, it's 7th. Yeah, so March 7th will be the next session. We'll schedule it on YouTube as soon as possible, so you can subscribe to get the notification when we are live again.
Yep.
And then, yeah, we are doing also AI live streams with Chad. So if you are interested in that as well, make sure you subscribe and follow us on social media so you can see when we are posting. And we are always putting out some great content everywhere, blog posts and podcasts. So make sure you follow us. Yeah, so I'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you, Fernando. Bye.